Hello and welcome to another episode of PsycKicks. My name is Liv, and this is the podcast where, as your sidekick to all things metaphysical, we talk about everything paranormal, spiritual, metaphysical, and in between. So yeah, I am a psychic medium, and I've been going through the past couple weeks, months, probably longer. It's just more that I've been having time to sit with myself and realize it, that to understand that means nothing. I am a psychic medium. I channel the energy of souls of past loved ones, whether that be people or pets, as well as the living energy of the things around us, like pets and plants and houses. So I read the energy of those things. However, I've been doing this podcast for almost 4 years, making videos, holding private readings, and I have always had this sort of imposter syndrome, but I think it's rightfully so. However, the energy that I've had for it has been misplaced. So when you have a YouTube channel and a podcast, I've been learning that people have high expectations of you. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to meet your expectations or exceed them, because I'm definitely going to try. However, it's a lot of pressure. It's almost like, yes, I'm a psychic medium. Yes, I communicate with the souls of the dead and then convey that information to you, because as a medium, that's just what I do. But everyone thinks that because of that, or it's my impression that everyone perceives me as someone who eats, sleeps, breathes, and understands all things metaphysical and spiritual. And that is not my case, my dudes. It is not. I don't know. I was told that, oh, you're a professional now. And as a child growing up, when I started this channel, I was 23. I'm still a child. I'm now going to be almost 20. What is it? I'm almost 27 now. And I still feel like I'm learning so much. And that's just how that's just how life is, But I used to think that the idea of a professional was someone who knows what they're talking about because they're well versed in a subject, they're educated, and they have experience. But I guess that's not what that is. A professional just means that you're someone that gets paid to do whatever it is that you do, which I guess in retrospect, that is what I am. I'm a professional psychic medium. But the perception that people may have of me as being this guru or wise person beyond whatever it is, years, that seems like a lot for me. And it's something that I've been really stepping into lately. And I'm going on this rant. It's already 3 minutes into this podcast, and people that have first listened to this, maybe you don't even know what we're doing today. Because we talk about all things spiritual, metaphysical, and in between, we're going to be doing listener stories. And I'm going to be tying this into the listener stories that I've picked for all of you today. So just to backtrack before I keep putting my foot in my mouth continuously for another 10 minutes talking about this, unlike other podcasts, because I'm a psychic medium, when we do listener stories and I tell them all to you, I will tell you what I perceive as said psychic medium in your listener stories of spooky, paranormal, and metaphysical proportions. So that's what we're going to be doing today. But I wanted to start off by talking a little bit about myself, because people have been enjoying the life updates. If that is not something that you want to listen to, there will be a link down, or not a link, there'll be chapters down below, whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the PsycKicks Extras YouTube channel. That'll be down in the description. But if you don't want to listen to this, there'll be chapters and you can skip through it. However, today's life update actually goes into a little bit of what we're going to be talking about for today's theme of listener stories, which is going to be guardian angels. So yeah, if you want to listen to it, great. If not, click down below, look at it, and then go to the next timestamp, and that will help you circumvent the chaos that's about to ensue. All right, getting back to it. So, talking about how I don't know anything. I feel like when you start a new job, even if you're starting your own business, whatever it is, making bread, babysitting, being a nanny, running a farm, selling chicken eggs, I don't know, whatever it is, a cyber business, if that's something that you are excited to do and start doing. I had a friend that started tips and tricks, and it was like a financial advisor, but for betting on sports. And he started a business doing that. Like, FanDuel, he was your advisor to betting on FanDuel. And I just never thought that would be something that you would start as a business, and he did, and he's very successful at it. So, the scope of whatever, when you start a business or a new adventure in any way, shape, or form, whether it be motherhood, fatherhood, starting a new job, I feel like there's imposter syndrome. And that's what I've been dealing with for the past 4 years since we started PsycKicks. And I just I haven't been able to step into it and feel it. I've just been trying to sort of cover it up, I guess, with the idea of, oh yeah, I can be a person for all of these people that perceive me as being someone that is knowledgeable in these subjects. I will just step into it and I will take it in stride and learn all that I can. And it's been hard. And now, finally, I feel like I'm starting to figure out where my place is, or where I want my place to be among spirituality as a journey for myself and as a collective whole amongst everyone else that's on their own spiritual journey. And that's something that I just have been really chewing on for the last couple months now, and more so consciously in these past couple weeks. And I just wanted to share with you all that if you're going through the same thing, rock on, home skilly Trisket. It's a lot. I've never been someone that has been super spiritual. I like talking about it. I like being present with other people who are talking about it. But I've also seen that a lot of people sort of lose themselves amongst spirituality. And I think that's something that I've been very, very scared of, honestly, truly, where people embrace spirituality as a way to escape reality. And I think that has been one of the reasons I've been so trepidatious in embarking on my own spiritual journey, because I feel like if I don't go so gung-ho as other people may actually live their lives, then I there's no place for me, type of thing. And I'm nervous about losing myself within it. And I've now been coming to the realization that in my own form and practice of spirituality, which will be different for everybody, is not necessarily the same. And I think that what spirituality should do, at least for me, is ground myself in reality, not let myself sort of be floated or skyrocketed away. So yeah, it's something that's been making me more excited and anxious, but in a good way, excited. Eager is a better word, not anxious. Eager to learn more facets of spirituality itself so that I can become a better medium and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's just been interesting, how I've felt that people have perceived my life versus how I actually live my life, and finding the safety within spirituality that other people do, but in my own way. So yeah, I feel like that's something I wanted to talk about. The whole thing that's been bothering me is so many people, and that's the other thing. So many people come to me as this person that has answers to all of these spiritual things. And my spirit guides and spirit themselves are really the ones that give me the answers. It's not something that I go out and actively look for, or at least it hasn't been in the past. And now that's changing, but I've gotten answers from spirit. So when people think, oh, you have all these great ideas and these are the things that you have. No. That's not me. That's spirit. You ask a question, I tell you what they say, and I perceive it in a certain way, and that's how I'm going to dictate it to you. So and when I say dictate, I mean as in speak it into words. That is how I'm going to dictate it to you, because they don't give me necessarily words, but the information that they convey to me, I dictate to you. And I need you all to know that it's not me, that's spirit. And I don't know, it's just been weird. It's kind of I feel like I'm not the teacher, but the student. And it's almost as if people meet with me and we have readings where they ask me spiritual questions, and I'm just a television. I am the TV. I am the boob tube. And it's if you were to watch a TV and the TV had like a program on about something that was like educational or enlightening or whatever it is that's cool for you, and then projects that summary of information to you, but then you think the TV knows everything. You know what I'm saying? I've been the TV this whole time. I just it's something that's been interesting for me to realize and then start just thinking about, and then I don't know, I'm just trying to share with you guys how I feel. Have you guys ever felt this way? I mean, if so, let me know in the comments below, because that's what this podcast is here for, not only to entertain you, but to be something that you guys can talk to, someone that you can talk to, because I'm not just talking to myself, I'm talking to you right now, wherever it is that you are, driving in your car, cleaning the dishes, tidying around the house, at the gym, on the treadmill, whatever, going for a walk, hanging out with your bestie. Anyways, one of the things that my spirit guides have helped me to sort of like conceptualize this is, if you guys don't know what tarot is, I've been trying to learn tarot. Tarot is not my thing, and I'm not going to offer tarot readings because I don't necessarily want to, because I don't know how to do it in like a standardized, practiced, learned, educated way. I'm just doing it for myself. It's part of my spiritual journey that I'm going on now, that I feel more safe to expand my understanding and scope of spirituality itself in my own personal way. And one of the ways that my spirit guides have been able to help me conceptualize and embrace how I feel with being perceived as someone that knows all these things but really doesn't. It's like someone who's naturally gifted at singing. You're like, wow, do you know all these things about music? And they're like, no, I just am good at singing. Same thing. I'm just a medium, and I'm trying to change that and embrace spirituality so that I can share my journey with all of you, and you can share your journey with me, because it's awesome. But one of the things that they showed me with tarot is the page card. Also, if you don't know, as a medium, souls or spirits will show me things in my own things that I've seen, because I can't conceptualize things that I haven't actually seen. So they'll go through the filing cabinet of my brain with all of the experiences and whatever media that I've consumed to convey certain things to me. So my spirit guides showed me, when I was ruminating over this idea of I don't know anything, I'm just a medium, but I'm supposed to know things about spirituality, and how am I supposed to do this and go about it, yada, yada, yada. One of the things that they showed me is the page card. So if you don't know what the page card is in tarot, the page card is like this, I don't know, looks like a prepubescent adolescent boy and like tights, depending on the card that you're looking at. This is more of like the Rider White or what is it? Like more traditional tarot cards, but it's like this boy that's wearing like medieval clothing and the puffy pants, and he has like a lantern sometimes in front of him or a walking stick. And he just looks like a dude that's going for a walk, but also someone that you might steal his lunch money from. So the page card is supposed to represent someone who is on a journey of knowledge. They are a student. They don't know much. They're going to be an apprentice in this phase of their life. They're going to seek knowledge and experience from other people and other places. There's someone that's going to go out and find that knowledge and understanding, and they are going out to, just learn things. That is the page card in the upright position. Now, since my spirit guides are also funny and I like Naruto, they showed me Master Jiraiya, who is known as the Toad Sage, if you don't know anything about Naruto. So they showed me Master Jiraiya, who is a sage, and they showed me the page card in my mind, and I was like, what does that have to do with anything? That makes no sense. And I just thought it was funny, because sages are supposed to be people in, I think, Japanese culture. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Just because Naruto is a Japanese anime, I would assume that it's in Japanese culture. But sages in a culture are people that are very esteemed for their knowledge and wisdom and education and guidance and practice in their life. And I was like, got it. I am in my Page of Sages era. Because, as your sidekick to all things metaphysical, I'm here to teach you guys about these things. But I'm like, I don't know if I can teach these things. I'm not sure, but I can, because as a medium, I'm going to get the guidance not only from all of you, but also from the souls and spiritual beings that I meet just by myself, as well as in readings. So, one of the things my husband's been going around saying is, everyone, okay, you got any Swifties here? Anybody that loves Taylor Swift? I like Taylor Swift. I listened to Taylor Swift when she was a country girl, though. So that was like, I don't know, elementary, middle school age Olivia. But I liked country girl Taylor Swift. But I know a lot of girls that like now Taylor Swift, which is fine. I respect her. But my husband's been going around the house because T Swift's tour is the Eras tour, right? And he likes to go around and be like, today I was in my doing 20 push-ups every 30 minutes era. So I woke up one morning and I was grouchy, and he's like, you're in your grumpled stillskin era. So like, though that's how he's been using his eras now, like Oak, my son, he's been going through his I only want to eat meat era, carnivore baby era. So I feel like right now my spirit guides were like, listen, you're just in your Page of Sages era, where you are going to be someone for your business that people can go to ask questions and feel safe and give guidance. And we're going to help you through that. And so are the souls and spirits that you talk to. And you're also going to be learning a shit ton, because finally you feel safe enough to travel down the path that we've been laying for you for the past 4 years. So yeah, that's where I'm at. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. I think it's good to always be a student, even when you are trying to be or perceived as a teacher. And it's okay to tell people, hey, I don't know the answer, and you probably know the answer more than I do, but let's sit and talk about it and see if we can figure it out together. And I think that's a really healing thing to understand, of that we don't always have to know the answer, and no one else always has to know the answer, because life isn't just a one-sided journey. It's a collaboration between all walks of life. And yeah. So I know I told you that we were going to talk about guardian angels, because that's what the topic today is for our listener stories. And this is the other thing that's been absolutely blowing my mind. I might put like a second timestamp right here for future editing live about like this portion of the life update, because it is more like in alignment, like I said, with the listener story topic today. But anyways, something that blew my mind is, and I had my friend also talk about this too, so that they can confirm what I thought I was thinking to myself, because just when I'm sitting by myself, I'm like, these spiritual things seem like they're just my own head movies. And maybe I'm just thinking with my own egotistical mind, and this isn't actually spirit talking to me. So one of my friends actually called me, and I'm knocking things down, brought up the topic with me, because I left them a message really quick. And I was like, hey, what do you think about this? And then they called me back, and they were like on the topic of this, and brought it up themselves, and then just told me exactly what I was thinking without me prompting them, besides giving them like a buzzword. So they gave me the answer without me giving them the answer, type of thing. And that's always really good validation when I feel like my own thoughts are not spiritual, but they actually are spiritual messages. So anyways, I was talking with my husband the other day. He's been very stressed out with work, because as a mechanic, the way that you get paid isn't hourly. You get paid, well, you could get paid hourly, but most mechanics don't get paid hourly. The way that they get paid is by the hours that they turn per the job that they get assigned. So say you bring your car in for a brake job, right? You want to get all of your brakes replaced. That pays X amount of hours. And the way that the dealerships or the car manufacturers create how many hours each job is worth is by a average of how long it takes a seasoned mechanic to complete that job on a brand new car. However, if you came in and you know who you are, if you know who you are, with a car that's never had a brake job, and you have put like way too many miles on it, maybe like 60, 80, 100,000 miles on it, and you've never changed your brake pads before, I'm just going to let you know right now, it's going to take the mechanic a little bit longer to change your brakes because the way brakes work is with friction and hydraulics. So there's hydraulic fluid that moves your brake pads to like open and close, like a clamshell kind of a little bit. And the hydraulic fluid pushes the brake pedal pads around the rotor, which is what slows your tires down. However, the friction created after so long of using your brakes creates rust and heat and fusion of the metal parts together. So he's basically trying to unfuse your brake pads, or some mechanics are trying to unfuse your brake pads because they've melted together like plastic on plastic in a microwave, which there's no shame. I understand brakes are expensive. You're going to try and ride those babies out until, it's as long as you can, that's safe and reasonable. But I'm going to say that if that job by the manufacturer standards of doing it on a new car with non-rusted fused brakes takes 30 minutes, it's going to take like 2 hours. So if he takes 2 hours on fixing this job that other people say takes 30 minutes on a brand new car that's not rusted together, he's only going to get paid for the 30 minutes, even though it took him 2 hours. So he's been really stressed out with stuff like that. And it's not always the easiest. There's good days and there's bad days, but he's been trying to relax on his lunch break and actually take his lunch break to recalibrate his head before he goes back to work. And he called me the other day and was like, hey, I'm sitting at my park. I found a shaded spot under a tree in my truck, and I'm just going to meditate. And for whatever reason, we came up on the idea of like, what was it? Guardian angels? Because I was explaining to him higher selves. I've been trying to tap into my higher selves, and I've already been talking for too long, so I'm not going to talk too much longer or talk about that. But if you guys want to know about my higher self stuff that I've been doing, let me know in the comments below, and I can definitely talk about it in another podcast. But we got on the topic of guardian angels, and he asked me, like, what is a guardian angel? Because he's like, is your higher self the same thing as a guardian angel? And I was like, no, listen, I'm the professional here, remember? And I told him, I said, as far as I understand, guardian angels are the entities, higher spiritual beings that when you as a person, as a soul, are going through your life and you're making your choices, you're exercising your free will, and you're meeting those checkpoints of your soul contract, sometimes people really screw up, like really bad. Like you just took whatever it was as a free will choice that you had and you threw it out the window, lit it on fire, and tried to kill yourself. And that was not supposed to happen. That was not something that was in your soul contract. So the higher powers that be are like, initiate guardian angel now. And your guardian angel swoops in and is like, you screwed up. I'm fixing this for you because this was not supposed to happen. And then they save you. So these are like the people that have like near-death experiences, and they're like, I felt like someone like pulled me up out of my shoulders or by my shoulders out of this car that was on fire and flipped over 8 times, and they walk out with like a Spider-Man Band-Aid on their knee, and they're like, I have no idea how that happened. That is what guardian angels are, Brad, because I know everything. I'm the spiritual guru, remember? And he's like, see, so can you have more than one spirit or one guardian angel? And I was like, no, I think you only have one. As far as I understand, in my professional opinion, you only have one guardian angel. And then his next question, God love him, was, well, what if you don't know who your guardian angel is, or you don't think that you ever had like an experience with them? And I told him, I said, well, I would, based on what I know, that would probably be a good thing, because you haven't messed up so badly in your life that your guardian angel has not had to come in, and you're doing really good. So if you don't know who your guardian angel is, Brad, I'm pretty sure that would be like a cool move for you. And at this point, mind you, we're having this conversation. I'm in my kitchen, Oak's on the floor trying to bang pots and pans. I'm on the phone with Brad. And in my mind, I don't know if I even want to share this, but that's why we're doing this podcast. I feel like claircognizantly, which is just clear knowing, and my brain doesn't work that way. I don't usually have thoughts and just like clear understanding, concise, whole rounded, full bodied thoughts. But I had this clear cognizant thought of, oh, you're a guardian angel for your husband. Now, I'm thinking immediately, as soon as that thought popped into my head, I was like, that is the most egotistical BS I have ever heard in my entire life. That has to be my ego. That was my own brain. And I'm going to shove that down into the depths of everything and just throw it away, because that can't be. That's a rude thing to think about. I'm not that important in my husband's life. I love him. I think he's one of my soulmates, but that's stupid. That's a rude thought to have, Olivia. So I didn't say anything. So fast forward to that evening. We were driving in the car. Oak was asleep in the back seat, and Brad just brings up randomly, oh, so I was thinking about the guardian angels that we were talking about earlier today on my lunch break. And he said, before I went back from my lunch break, the thought occurred to me. He asked me, do you think guardian angels can be physical people? And I'm, again, in my brain going, I know this. As far as I understand, no, I don't think they are. I think they're like spiritual beings, whether they be someone that is a past ancestor or a loved one or something else that I can't conceptually understand. I wouldn't think that guardian angels would be physical people in our lives. Like, no, that seems not at all what the spiritual whatevers have to say about it. But this was Brad's question. He's like, do you think guardian angels could be physical people? And I told him, I was like, I don't think so. But I honestly don't know. I've never had someone ask me that question before, and I've never had to think about it. And in my brain, right before Brad started talking, I felt like my spirit guides gave me the clairsentient feeling of, yes, guardian angels can be physical people, because, I mean, we're physical people with souls, and my understanding of a guardian angel is a soul or spiritual being, and technically that's what we all are. We're just in physical bodies. So why couldn't a guardian angel be a physical person? It's just in a different plane of existence, but it's still a spiritual body. And he goes, well, I just was thinking that they could be physical people because I think you're one of my guardian angels. Isn't that freaking adorable? One, it matches up with the thought that I had in my head that was claircognizant. So whether I was reading his mind through the phone, like some telepathy stuff, or that was actually a claircognizant thought from spirit or my spirit guides, whatever powers that be, I'm messed up, guys. That has like blown my mind a little bit. And that is what I talked to on the phone with my friend earlier today. And they said the same thing without me prompting them with the idea of like, are spirit guides physical beings? They just started talking about it. And I was like, whoa. Stop the boat. That is literally what I was going to talk to you about. I just gave them the buzzword of our guardian angels. And yeah, so the way Bradley went on to elaborate as to why he feels that I am a guardian angel for him, he's like, well, if guardian angels can be physical people, which, side note, I think my spirit guides agree with that. He said, I think that guardian angels maybe just don't always have to do everything all at once. It's not like this big giant thing that happens when you're getting pulled out of a terrible car wreck or saved from drowning or whatever it is. He's like, maybe guardian angels can be people and they just do little things over a long period of time. And that's what puts you on the track and saves you from like your own demise, your own early demise. And I was like, for someone like, maybe I'll make a podcast about my journey with my husband and my spirituality. Because for someone who thought for the longest time what I did was like not cool and just this big gimmick and like ooky kooky crazy, to the point where when Brad shared his feelings, his early impression of what metapsychics was and what I wanted to do as a profession, I thought very hard about like, is our relationship going to work? And it was something that was scary because I was like, if it's not going to work and he's not going to be able to accept me for this large portion of who I am in this business that I want to create, then maybe he's not the person to be with me. And now over the past 5 years, because it's been about 5 years, 4 years since then, it's just for him to say something like that is so astronomically, amazingly beautiful and special that I just love it. Like, spirituality is not his thing, but for him to have a sort of deep revelation like that even I haven't even thought about, just makes me so happy. So that brings me to the conclusion of, I have a new hypothesis, a spiritual hypothesis, if you will, that guardian angels can be people. And I'm not saying that I feel comfortable agreeing that I could be a guardian angel for him, but I do 100% think that guardian angels could be people. Because again, like I said, they're just spiritual bodies, they're souls themselves that intervene in our lives in a certain way that sets us on the path that keeps us from an early demise, something that wasn't supposed to happen in our soul contract. So it just makes sense that they could be embodied in people. And I just think that's beautiful. And I think all of you need to know that you could be a guardian angel for somebody and you don't even know it. I just think it's so beautiful. So if you needed to hear that today, please, if anything is getting you down, or even if you're just super excited, you don't even have to be sad. If you're just elated and having a fabulous day, let's add it to the list of you can be a guardian angel for someone and you don't even know it. So yeah, makes me so happy. Anyways, let me know what you think about that down in the comments below. Leave an Apple review or a Spotify review, because I think you can leave reviews on Spotify now. If not, give us a rating. But I just I need you guys to let me know what you think about that, because that is just like a revelation for me, and I'm so excited about it, and it's so beautiful, and it just makes me so freaking happy. I just can't even deal with it. The last thing that I want to say before we move into the listener stories is this sort of revelation about guardian angels, I think, is interesting, because something that M would say when she was on the podcast was separation is an illusion, which is annoying because it's like, yes, spirituality and physicality are synonymous to one another. They coexist in this rubbing elbows sort of way. But I feel like understanding, like the way that my spirit guides have been showing it to me is spirituality is sort of like in the metaphysical, spirituality in the metaphysical, the spiritual realms, whatever you want to talk about it, is like this white light. But we all know that when white light goes through a prism, it changes colors. It doesn't change colors. It shows you the colors that create the white light. The rainbow of colors all coming together is what creates white light. And I feel like when we have these conversations about this, like, oh, guardian angels aren't just this one thing that saves you this whole time in this one life event, but they could also be people that sort of give you these things over time, this love, this direction, this whatever that you need to do the same thing. It's like looking at the different colors that create the white light. And then you also have to think about the fact that colors for everybody is different. Like, not everybody's yellow is the same yellow, and red might not actually be red to someone, but we all know what red looks like in a sort of collective way. And then you think about the colors too that like other beings perceive, like bees and insects. They don't perceive color the same way that humans do. They actually see things in like infrared or ultraviolet light. So I think it's important to say that when we're talking about spiritual topics, the way in which people perceive things, if it's different, is okay, because we're all just perceiving different colors of the same white light. And it's like white light is its own thing, but the separation of it is an illusion. But it's always fun as people, as human beings that like to compartmentalize and conceptualize things in order to feel safe and rationalize the world around them, to break things down into its fundamental components to understand whatever it is that is the whole. And that's just what this is. And I just, I don't know. I've been having the inner turmoil or the chewing of thoughts over being right and having to know everything. And I really think that spirituality is a beautiful platform for not always being right and not having to know everything. Because just because someone perceives one thing as a different thing or something different, like it's still the same thing. Does that make sense? Like if I were to put a table in a room and it's the same table, everyone would perceive that table differently. But at the end of the day, everyone knows that it's a table. Does that make sense? And I think that's a good way to understand spirituality. So, yeah. I would also like to say before we move on, one last thing, that not all of these ideas are just mine. A lot of them come from my beautiful friends. So thank you for everybody that's been helping me to go and move forward on my spiritual journey, the path that, the universe has started to lay for me. And now I feel confident enough to begin walking down it. And I feel like I'm not alone walking down it, not just because of the people that I have in my life to talk to about these things, but also you guys. Again, you listening. Thank you for listening to all of these things and being here with me on the journey, letting me know how it influences you and how you're doing in your own life and perceiving spirituality and just everything that's going on. So without further ado, here are the listener stories. The first listener story was sent in by Sarah W., and Sarah's story is titled, I Possibly Saw My Guardian Angel. So, Sarah says, this story feels very personal, although that could just be me. I have seen shadows and full body apparitions for most of my life. I've suspected I'm somewhat psychic, but when I try to tell people, they just dismiss it and move on with their lives. I've talked to a medium before and expressed my concerns of an attachment, but she didn't really say anything and just dismissed it. But that's not what this story is about. This story takes place one night, rather late, maybe 11 p.m. at night. I was laying in my room, just laying down to fall asleep, and my bedroom is quite small. The bed and my bedroom door share a wall with a window across from them both. I was on my side staring at the covered window, just laying down to sleep, when I look down and see a light just as it enters my room. It stops at the foot of my bed, right where I am. The light was rounded in a way in which the light radiated from it, though not physically. It had a golden ring in the center and it was semi-transparent. It would sort of ripple and change, kind of the way water does, but much slower and softer. I remember staring, waiting for it to go away. I knew what I was seeing, but I was just waiting to see if it was something else. Nothing happened for a beat, but then information flooded my brain. I suddenly had the feeling of a man, an angel of some sort, just coming in to check on me, making sure that I was okay. In my mind, I got sort of little flashes of a manly figure and a soft light that I was seeing in the center. Then the light moves away and disappears through my closed door, as if thinking, yep, you're good, nothing bad is happening, so I can go. I remember just staring, confused and a little shocked. Then I remember just settling my head against my arm and falling asleep. When I woke up, I remember what had happened the night before, but it was like what I saw was completely normal. Like I knew it was always there, but this was the first time that I was really seeing it. Like always seeing your cat walk around, but remember snuggling with it right before. After that, I kept quiet about my experience. I knew what I saw, but I wanted confirmation. When I was watching one video of Sam and Colby going to a haunted pool, the guide for their tour was talking about seeing a light that saved his life that moved in very much the same way like mine did. Like the light was at the sternum of his body, but then moved with it. After that, I knew I wasn't the only one who had seen a similar light, but I'm scared to make the stretch that that was my guardian angel, or at least one of them. The thing is, I had a feeling that this was someone who had watched over me for a long time, always in the background. Like waking up and seeing walls, you know they're there, but you never really register them being there. I would love a confirmation or your opinion, but I also have another concern. The people I've heard of seeing angels when they don't normally see them usually have something bad typically happen or being prevented. Normally a deadly or life-threatening altering situation that was prevented by such angels. So I would like to know, why did I see him now? Okay. The story is so freaking perfect. 1, Sarah, thank you for sending in your story. I appreciate it. It's fabulous. And I love the way that you explain how you perceived your guardian angel as like this radiating light with a golden ring in the center that was semi-transparent, and that it ripples sort of the way water does, but a lot slower and softer, and how you felt like information just sort of came into your mind, and that you had a feeling that the person associated with the bubble was a man or an angel of some sort just coming to check on you. Literally love everything about it. Also, I am sorry that when you have tried to talk about your psychic and paranormal experiences, people have just sort of like ignored you. I know how you feel. You just, if people don't know something about something, and it also is a topic that they're not like comfortable speaking with because it's quote unquote taboo in whatever like version of it that it is for them, it's probably not about you. It's more just about the topic of things. So if someone doesn't feel comfortable, like they know something, they probably won't talk about it. You got to find yourself a Gemini friend, maybe. Geminis love to talk about everything, no matter what it is, because they just want to know a little bit of everything about everything. So I know how you feel, though. As far as the attachment with the medium, I know you said that the story's not a part of, like, that's not a part of the story. If you listened to the beginning of this, everybody perceives things differently. Perhaps the medium didn't perceive what you were talking about as an attachment, or it's something, again, that they don't know about. As of right now, I don't think that you have an attachment. You might have just had some fears that were ruminating around you, that were sort of projecting themselves or attracting things near you that were scary to you. But as far as attachments, I'm not sure. I don't think you would have one as of right now, if that helps you. But I also, again, everyone's perception is different. I don't necessarily believe in attachments either. So I also might not be the person for you to talk to, but I don't want to just glide over that and not say anything. So I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you've listened to enough of our podcasts to create your own understanding or idea of what you were experiencing that you would dub as an attachment. I am confident that you are smart enough to have created your own opinion, which is the most important thing, not just having someone tell you something. So anyways, I do think that you saw your guardian angel. I want to say that if I would have done this podcast any day before today, I would not have had the same opinion. But I do think you saw your guardian angel. And given the fact of what we just talked about before this, I think that they were just coming in to check on you just like you felt. So I don't know. I feel like they do. They just come to check on you to make sure that you are doing well, both like physiologically, but also mental physiologically, like your mental health wise too. Because the person that, or the spiritual being of the man that you're talking about, he gives me a very much like, how do I explain this? He's very smart. He's very straight and to the point, and he's someone that is very positive. It's almost like if something was going wrong in your day, like, oh, I got stuck walking home from the bus stop and it started raining and now my shoes are all wet. And if you came home to him, if he was a person, he would look at you and smile and be like, well, that's okay, because we can just take off your socks and shoes and put them in the dryer and put new socks on you and you'll be nice and dry and warm. And it's not that big a deal. He's like that type of person. But he's also the person that has everything organized in the house in like an alphabetical way and knows where everything is all at the same time. So the reason I'm sharing this information is because I'm sure, Sarah, you remember clairsentiently, since you said that you felt like he was a man and you felt where he was in the room. You can clairsentiently feel that someone is a man. You don't have to see them necessarily to know that they're a masculine or feminine. So I think that the reason I'm saying this is because you would understand clairsentiently what this experience was like, since you remember it so vividly. But if that sounds correct based on the things that I'm saying, then I would like to be the confirmation for you that yes, you were seeing a guardian angel, and what he tells me is that he does just check in on you from time to time. And there was no big drastic thing that was happening that you were about to die or have an accident or anything like that. He is just there to make sure that you are physiologically okay. And I thought that was really freaking cool. Just like, I think guardian angels and the way that other people portray them is also true. Like the ones that come in at like a specific point to save them. Like the person that you were listening to in the Sam and Colby video, where his guardian angel came and saved him in this situation or scenario. But like, I think that there's also another subset of guardian angels that do things like yours, where they just check in and are like, hey, cool beans, everything's fine. I'm gonna head out, I'm gonna head out. And the cool thing though, remember when I talked about the table, how if everyone put a table in the room, people would perceive the table or aspects of the table differently? I think you, Sarah, and the person from the Sam and Colby video see the table, which in this analogy would be a guardian angel, in the same ways. That's what I'm saying. Like spiritual energy and channeling energy, spiritual non-physical energy is going to be different for everyone. It is. It's like the Rorschach test. If someone shows you an ink blot, some person might see the ink blot as a butterfly, and other people might see the ink blot as a crown or a mountain range. Other people will perceive their guardian angels differently. But you, I think, were given or sort of slipped that Sam and Colby video into your frame of view, your world, so that you could be like, oh, someone else experienced their guardian angel to look the same as mine, so you're not crazy. I think that was spirit giving you that experience in order to confirm and validate your experience. Like that is what you saw. Someone else perceived their guardian angel the same way, and that is valid. 100%. And now the universe is manipulating us further for me to give you this podcast to answer the other subsets of questions that you have. So yes, I think you saw your guardian angel. And no, I don't think that you were having something bad or typically prevented from you. I think it was just a general checkup because this guardian angel works with that facet of energy or safety or guardianship for you. So yeah. Thank you, Sarah, for sending in your story. I enjoyed reading it, and I hope you listen to this. But we're going to move on to Amanda H. Amanda H's story is titled Surviving Death. Amanda says, hey, friends, I'm curious about your thoughts on surviving death and its potential influence on psychic abilities and or raising one's consciousness. Okay, so before I get into Sarah's story, I do want to talk about my opinion of near-death experiences and like their ability to give you psychic abilities or something like that. So one of the reasons I don't think that everyone will be a medium is because your ability to be a medium in this life, I do think everyone can have psychic abilities, but mediumship I think is a little bit different. The reason I think this, one of them, and I'm struggling with this, I really am. I'm still like on the fence. I'm not entirely sure about if I 100% like am okay with saying that not everyone is a medium, but I have reasons. And one of the reasons is that I think your ability to be a medium is not dictated by you entirely. It is dictated by like creator, source, spirit, God, whatever you want to call them. They're the ones that are like, all right, in this life, in this incarnation, you're going to have to experience this to this capability, these fullest extents. And that is the difference between the psychic and the medium. The other thing is your past lives. The things you have learned in your past lives, your past incarnations, are going to also shape and mold what your abilities are and to what extent in this life. So between those two things, those are two of the reasons that I believe that not everyone is going to be a medium in this life. However, when it comes to like near-death experiences, I don't know. It freaks me out because people are like, I had this experience and now I can perceive these portions of the spiritual or metaphysical. So I don't know if it's necessarily that they're gaining mediumship abilities, but they're definitely awakening their psychic abilities. And I feel like the reason this happens when you have a near-death experience is, one, it's almost like you are incarnating or reincarnating into your body again. So it sort of splits and splices your incarnations. So it's like, you lived 2 lives in this one. And I think that might just be a part of your spiritual journey and the part of where you're going to have these abilities sort of show up and start being integrated more consciously into your life, as well as the fact of when your soul leaves your body in these near-death experience ways, you now are more physically and energetically aligned with a certain frequency, and that would be this more spiritual frequency of the in-between, the metaphysical energy that exists synonymously, or like I said, rubbing elbows with physicality. It's more like you physically had something that energetically placed you in that line of frequency. So I think that's why these things happen, or like why you get psychic abilities, etc., after you have a near-death experience, or like your psychic abilities or spiritual stuff awakens afterwards. Plus, it also puts people's frame of mind into like, oh crap, these things that people say aren't real are real, or I experienced it, which makes me feel like it's real type of thing, you know? So now your energy is also more physically aligned or in tune with that frequency of metaphysical spirituality, the energy that exists in our existence. So yeah. Also, as I was talking about the, like, you split your lives type of thing. So like if you have a near-death experience in this life and then your soul comes back into your body, it's almost like you're having 2 lives in one. I feel like I was getting a little bit of ridicule from my spirit guides while I was saying that. But again, I don't have to know everything. That's just my own just egotistical idea, maybe a little bit about things. So I just wanted to share it, but also let you guys know that I was getting some side eye from my spirit guides about that. So they're probably like, maybe that's a little outlandish. But anyways, I think it's cool and I'm going to share it. So moving on with Amanda's story. Amanda says, here's some backstory as to why I'd love your input. I loved being in water as a child and frequently wished I was a fish so I'd never have to get out of the water. I had swimming lessons as a child and was a strong swimmer, but that didn't keep me from drowning twice. The first time was merely an accident in a local swimming pool around the age of 5. The buoys weren't up how they were supposed to be, and I 100% watched myself drown, like Jack in the Titanic style, slowly drifting down from the surface, but way more panicked and with a lot more flailing, lol. The second time was a year or so later, and I still think about it to this day, because it boggles my mind with curiosity and fills my heart with a sense of beauty and peace. I know, I sound crazy, but who is ever happy with a memory of drowning? Anywho, while at the ocean one summer, my stepmom and I held hands as we jumped a huge wave and it hit us so hard it knocked me out. The next memory I have is opening my eyes and seeing myself sitting on the bottom of the ocean. The water was only about 3 to 4 feet deep, with an overwhelming sense of calm radiating from my body. I felt peace, and the most beautiful view I had ever seen was before my eyes. I saw the tan of the sand, the clear blue of the ocean, and the sun shining above, and the salt that glistened like gold all around me. And I thought to myself, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I want to stay here forever. I had never experienced that sense of calm and contentment before, and I didn't want to lose it. Breathing wasn't even a thought or concern, nor was the fact that my eyes were open in the super cold, salty water. A few seconds later, something forced me up and out of the water and onto my own 2 feet. Confused by what just happened and gasping for air, I look around to see who pulled me up, only to see that I was alone. In the distance, I saw someone running on the beach and realized it was my dad. I started walking towards him through the water, and when he got close enough, he frantically told me that they were looking for me and that they were about to call for help. I ended up about 50 yards away from where we had started and didn't hesitate to get back into the water after this happened. I still enjoy being in the water and am fascinated by the experience I had that day. So if you have any idea or explanation of what happened, I would love to hear it. Was it a spiritual awakening? A guardian angel intervention? What? Thanks for sharing your gifts and being a dope soul. Amanda H. Amanda, you just like the energy that you exude while like me reading the story that you wrote in is like ridiculous, and I appreciate it. Honestly, I'm not sure how I feel about specific parts of this story. And again, that's not why we're here. I'm not here to tell you things. I'm just here to like have a discussion about spiritual things. Oop, I'm dropping everything. Again. But like, I don't know. I feel like your spirit guides or the souls around you, when I read this story, like roll their eyes. They're just like, yep, there she goes, trying to kill herself again. Like, it's just something that maybe you were supposed to experience in this life. Like, you had possibly a lot of traumatic experiences in past lives. Maybe. I'm not saying this as a medium. I'm more so saying it as just like spitballing egotistically. Maybe you had a lot of traumatic past lives, and in this life, you are just supposed to sort of get over those things in like a trauma integration sort of way of maybe you died in past lives from drowning or water-related accidents. But I feel like you might have had past lives that were also related. Okay, now it's coming more so into medium brain because the things coming out of me are like the things I'm saying are different. They feel different. I feel like maybe you had traumatic past lives with water, and then your soul incarnated in more energetic entities such as like fae beings related to water, the ocean, the sea, those aspects of the physical world. And you were able to gain an understanding of how those things worked and how they were supposed to be beneficial and complementary to aspects of the physical world. So you might have, like I said, just to summarize, physical lives as humans that possibly had traumatic past life endings or encounters with water, to a soul incarnating multiple times as energetic beings that existed as water or the energy associated with the aspects of water. And now, because you had those healing experiences with your middle past life soiree, I guess, of lives of energetic water entities that helped heal you, you're now ready to sort of relive or integrate those traumas in a way that's more healing and positive, but also in a weird way, because your guys are just like literally rolling their eyes like, oh, this is just her. This is what she's doing. This is what she agreed to. This is just what it is. And it's like, I don't know. Every time I read your story and you talk about how something just like picked you up and put you on your feet and you're only in like 2 to 4 feet of water, it makes me think about the wave from Moana. You guys know what I'm talking about? The Disney movie Moana. If you don't know, go watch it. It's fabulous. I love it. And I'm not someone that likes musicals. Musicals for me, whatever, are just like not my jam. But I will watch them and sometimes enjoy a lot of them. And Moana is one of them. So, the wave just like does things and like moves people in the movie. And I feel like that might have been more so of what happened, but that's not to say that a wave wasn't a guardian angel for you in an aspect as well. Like, you could have an energetic entity that isn't necessarily like angelic in the human sense that people have created around the idea of guardian angels, because if you've had the past lives of an energetic water entity in that middle portion of your incarnations, then they could be a guardian angel or a spirit guide for you. But I would want to say guardian angels because that's just what we're going with the topic here. So, Amanda, you're so funny. You're just like, I just drowned Jack Titanic style when I was 5, but I'm okay. And then this happened. Please wear a life jacket, Amanda, or floaties, something. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this Sunday's podcast. It definitely was something interesting for me to talk about and share and explore these ideas with you. And I really hope that you let me know in the comments below. If you're listening on the PsycKicks Extras YouTube channel or on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you rate us on Apple Podcasts, I appreciate you. Haven't gotten any reviews in a while, but I'm going to start looking again and see who has been leaving reviews of their thoughts, feelings, opinions, such, and I'll read them the next time if we have any new ones. So yeah, if you guys are interested in a reading, I did just recently open up availability for August, and I have availability still for July. So if you're looking for a personal private reading with me, I would love to do that for you. I also added on the website under psychic medium readings that if you just want someone to talk to about spiritual things, like ideas that you have, things that you're pondering on your spiritual journey, or experiences that you've had, book a psychic medium reading with me. Because honestly, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, if I don't know something, I am going to ask the souls and spirits around you, your spirit guides, my spirit guides, and see what answers they have. And if it helps you, it helps you. That's what I'm here for. So if that's something that you're looking for, and not necessarily just connecting with a past loved one in more of the like standard, I would say, way, you can also book a psychic medium reading to get more answers or just discussions of spirituality and things that you are going through and experiencing and doing. So yeah, spiritual guidance, I think, is what I called it, because I will try my best to help you in the ways that I can. Anyways, thank you all for listening so much. Thank you to our patrons. I know there are new ones of you, and I'm excited to meet you at the Patreon lives. If you're like Akashic, Castle, and higher, I think Harmonic Forest might get Patreon lives once a month too, but we just had one. It was a good time. And yeah, I appreciate all of you, listeners, patrons, and alike. Until next week, peace out.